Hello, and welcome to Lunch Therapy. We're having a coffee here in the Ma Ambiance coffee shop. Ma Ambiance has been gracious enough to let us use their coffee shop here in this virtual world. Ma Ambiance is a fantastic place to go if you want to just relax, get some ambiance. Ma Ambiance is the channel. I talked to her. She's incredible. She makes these. Boney is hot. Boney is hot. Boney was dancing up a storm in that intro. And Holy Todd Lee. Nice funky tunes in the lead up. Yeah, I love that song. Like Dancing Skeleton and Pumpkinhead. That song usually gets me some problems where I have to like cut it out of the show. But it's just such a nice whistly, fun intro. Speaking of fun, whistly intros, let's get into Lunch Therapy today. This is a show where you take a break from the news cycle. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 All right, so I got some more Ma Ambiance here today, ASMR. We're going on a camping trip. This is Ma Ambiance. What she does is she crafts ASMR experiences through digital magic, digital fun, and then she puts music to it and all kinds of sounds, and all of a sudden you feel better. So now this is one of hers where she takes you on a camping trip. Actually, Sue Pascal Sweeney sent this to me as well, and I was already talking to this person about whether we could use it on the show, and she said, right on. Those weren't her words exactly, but they were like, yes, of course, darling, I think is what she said. So that's cool. So here we are enjoying that. We're going to do our breathing. Today's show is going to be really fun. I'm going to do some stand-up in the experimental stand-up room in the beginning, and then we're going to move to Do Animals Love Pumpkins? We're going to explore all the pumpkin animals. And then we're going to have a controversial dance break at the end. It's going to be very controversial. But first, let's breathe. That doesn't sound like a half-hour show, does it? That sounds like an hour or something. But this is just a half-hour show. We jam it all in here. Jam it all in here. But we start by breathing. In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. This is a good way to slow down a little bit. Sometimes we need to slow down. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Yes. Raw pumpkin. Let it go. I'm not a big fan of the raw pumpkin. You would think perhaps animals might not be either. But we'll find out. Oh, I hear some footsteps coming our way. One more breath. In through the nose, out through the toes. I snuck that one in on you. And let it go. All right, people. We're jumping right into the Trash Panda Comedy Club right away. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, watching you do stand-up does seem to make time seem longer. Sorry, but it was just sitting there. Does seem to make time seem longer. Yeah, take the time and stretch it out. Like if you have a half an hour break, watch some of my stand-up and it'll seem like an hour. That's a good idea. Put myself down right in the beginning of the set. This is the set. All right, let's intro me again. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joel Marshall, one of my favorite comedians. I just want to warn you guys, I might throw up today. Yeah. You know, I had some tea with maybe not enough milk in there or whatever, and the tannin or whatever it is in tea. I mean, it was straight up hardcore Indian tea, and I feel a little nauseous. But it's cool. I'm gonna be fine with it. Do animals like Smashing Pumpkins? I keep singing the Smashing Pumpkins song. It's not called Rat in a Cage, but the lyric is. It's something about butterflies. But, despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage. And my wife is like, stop singing that song. And I can't help it. I just keep singing it. So I might puke today. Iced tea has a weird effect on me. One time I was working in some hellhole on Hollywood Boulevard, and I had like a half-hour break, and I had no lunch therapy to watch to kind of spread it out. At the time, I was on the soup diet, which was designed for heart attack victims, where you just eat like this tomato soup and cabbage. That's all you eat for like 3 months, and eventually you look like, a mummy in the back of the old Curiosity Shop, or maybe like Jared Leto or something. So I couldn't eat any of that soup. I couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, what can I have that is not that soup? So I went to McDonald's, of course, on Hollywood Boulevard. I go in there, I order a giant tea, iced tea, and I drink it, because I'm actually just, instead of eating, I am a master of time and space. Instead of eating, I'm drinking this giant iced tea. And then all of a sudden, bullet with the butterfly wings. Thank you very much. All of a sudden I got terribly, terribly nauseous, and I instantly had to throw up. It was so surprising too, because it never happened to me before. I ran down this alley. I opened up this big dumpster and just, projectile vomited like Reagan in The Exorcist. And then I'm coming out of the dumpster. And I'm wiping my mouth off, and there's my boss walking down the alley. And I was just kind of like, and they just looked at me sort of disgusted, and we never talked about it. It was kind of like in high school, Jeff Lohman and I had an extra locker, and we decided to put an entire lunch in there with the milk and everything and just close it. And every day we'd go look at it. And it got more and more gruesome as we went along. And one day we're looking at it, and all of a sudden we felt this presence behind us, and it turns out it was the principal, and he's looking at us, looking at this rotting food. And we looked at him, and we're just like, and then we closed the locker, never talked about it again. I'm sure that food is still there. Let's see what the chat room says. Mark Strignell, do you do a rendition of Bullet with Butterfly Wings? Because you're a musician. I think it's an awesome song. I want to have a cover of that on the show, maybe sometime when my wife is not able to watch the show, because it's irritating to her, because it's like that. It's like that other song, I'm a loser, baby. There's just some where the message isn't so good. Wow, you are the best salesman for tea. Thank you very much. Tea makes me ill sometimes, Todd says. So good going down. Not so great coming up. Like booze. It's so true. Ronald Reagan was in The Exorcist. I got to watch that again. I think the name of the character was strangely Reagan, the one who turns into the devil monster. That is a pretty horrifying movie, I'll tell you. As was much of the Reagan presidency. I'm not saying that on here. There's no politics on here. So just beware. I might throw up. I'll be fine. I just, keep going. I'll just keep going. Second time I drove a car in Chicago. The second time I drove a car in Chicago, yesterday I talked about the first time. The second time I drove a car in Chicago, it was Kevin Sherman's car. I borrowed it for the day. I have no idea why I borrowed it, and I have no idea why I borrowed it on the iciest day of the year in Chicago. And I decided, hey, I'm going to drive this thing. And I worked all the way across town, but I always walked there. And I don't know why I borrowed his car. I worked at this place called the Briar Street Theater. I worked with this girl. She grew up in a school where John Malkovich was her bus driver. Yeah, the famous actor John Malkovich was her bus driver. And she knew he was not famous at the time, obviously, but she knew he was an actor because her parents would take her to Steppenwolf Theater. They would see these plays, and John Malkovich was like nude and like drooling and fabulous actor. But, then the next day she'd get on the bus and there he'd be. And she'd be like, I didn't recognize you with your clothes on. Yeah. So I'm driving the car. Let's go back to the car. So I'm driving the car. I haven't driven a car in so long. And, because I was in college, we didn't drive cars. I was in Chicago, we didn't drive cars. And I turned down this, I had some laughter. I turned down this alley, and it's all ice. The road is all ice because nobody's driving down that alley. I got to stay out of alleys is what it is. But it's not really an alley. It's a small street. And I'm driving the car very slowly, and it just starts sliding off to the right where the cars are parked, and it's sliding, and I'm trying to correct, and I'm calm and everything, trying to correct, it's still moving towards the cars. And I try to, put on the brakes, which is stupid. I try and downshift. None of this is working. I had enough time. I could probably have gotten out of the car and tried to stop it physically, but I didn't. And I smashed into a car. The one time that I'm driving, the second time that I'm driving. So I get out of the car and I'm like, and I have no money. I'm a, poor actor working at some ticket office. And I'm like, I have to leave a note. I have to do the right thing. So I left a note, wrote my number on there and my name, and I put it underneath the windshield wiper, got the car somehow back into another parking spot and never drove it again. So a couple days later, I'm at work across town, and the girl who's bus driver is John Malkovich says, "Did you hit my car?" And I was like, well, I hit a car, but the chances of it being your car are very slim. And she pulls out this note. She said, well, I called this number after someone hit my car, and the voice on the answering machine sounded a lot like you. Turns out I hit her car. So I then asked her out on a date, and we went to go see Brother from Another Planet. It was a pretty smooth move, right? And afterwards, we went back to my place, and we got 3 estimates. It's the kind of story where you expect it to be like, and we've been together there ever since, and we have 8 kids, and it's a beautiful thing. But really, the moral of the story is, if you hit somebody's car, leave a note. I mean, put the wrong number on it, but leave a note. This laughter thing is weird. Let me check the chat room here. Let's see what they have to say. Yes, The Exorcist still scares the bejeebus out of me. Kamala says art is political. It's true. Art is political. Nude and drooling, the John Malkovich story. That's the way I think of him when I think of John Malkovich, who is my hero, by the way. Someday I'm going to show you my picture of me with John Malkovich. John Malkovich is the best as KGB in Rounders. He has that weird Russian accent. I have to say, he's not that great at accents. That's why he's my idol. Wait, John Malkovich was driving a school bus nude and drooling? What district in Texas was this? There's Kevin Sherman. He loves pumpkins. He, I think, made a film called Calabanza, and someday he can tell us about it. It is about someone fornicating, I guess, or is that when you have sex with a pumpkin, is it fornicating? Or I don't know, masticating? I don't know. This would be funnier if you start puking. We went back to my place. We got 3 estimates. Yeah, that was the punchline. If she's cute, leave your real number. You don't know because the person's not there. And there, if there's a witness, some people do this. They write the wrong number. So in case there's a witness, the person's like, oh, they left their number. Let's see what Kevin says. Actually, have loved pumpkins, to be more accurate. Have loved pumpkins. Yeah, I think Kevin stars in that movie. Oh, that's great. Calabanza means pumpkin in Spanish. Exactly. No, it's just stupid to have sex with a pumpkin. Vegophilia. The other word I was thinking was copulation, which is sex between animals. I don't know. Sometimes it happens on this show. Seeding a pumpkin, Gordophilia. Okay, I got to get on to one more story, one more routine, as it were, budding routine, before we get into the pumpkin portion of the show. So, a few years back, and it was a few years back, it was when we were still trying to figure out whether to hyphenate the word email or whether to call it electronic mail. But I got an email, and it was the kind of thing where you're like, hey, I got an email. And I looked at it, and it was from this guy, and he said, hey, Joel, you and I were on swim team together in high school, and now I am a writer, and I write for the Writers Guild magazine, and I write for the Variety, and I write screenplays. You're much further along in the industry than I am, which, that was very complimentary at the time. I was like, wow, further along, wow. But I would love to have lunch with you. And I'm like, great. So I, immediately say yes. And then I call my friend. Those friends you have that just have a photographic memory, and you can call them and ask them about anything, and they know every detail and what day it happened and everything. So I call up Paul Barbano. I'm like, this guy. And the guy had an unusual name. So I'm like, do you remember this guy? I think he was in your class. And he says, no, I don't remember the guy. And that was very odd. So then I contacted Jeff Lohman, who's been recording diligently every day of his life. So he just looks through his books, and he's like, oh yeah, I remember him. He was on the swim team. He used to wear like an Indiana Jones hat and like a scarf. And he was eccentric, but a nice guy. You should have lunch with him. So I'm like, okay. So we scheduled a lunch, and the day of the lunch, I'm thinking, he said he had a blog. Maybe I should look up the blog. So I get on the internet, I look up the blog, and he says, I'm going to have lunch with Joel Marshall today. He's a bit further along in the industry than I am. Again, I'm complimented. I have always been inspired by Joel Marshall way back in the swim team days because he was so open and fun. He would stand in the middle of the locker room completely nude and say, I like to whack off. And I'm reading this, and I'm like, and this is out on the internet, and I'm like, I just can't picture myself standing there nude saying, I like to whack off. I just can't picture it. And, but he does. And now he's put it out there on the internet for everyone to see. And this is the time where I thought, I can't have that on the internet. This is so, people, when they Google me, they're going to see, or maybe back then they didn't Google me, they Netscaped me or something. And then, so I was like, well, so I call up Paul Barbano. I'm like, should I go to lunch with this guy? And he says, I think he's going to shoot you. So I was like, Paul, I don't think he's going to shoot me. But so I decide I'm going to go, but I'm going to confront the guy about the blog. So I go, super nice guy. We hang out. We have a lot of laughs, a lot of memories, a lot of fun stuff. Super nice. He's going to pick up the check at the end of the thing. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I've got to tell him about the blog. I got to confront him. So I said, this has been a fun thing. Thanks for picking up the check. But your blog, I read it. And you said that thing where I said, standing there nude saying, I like to whack off. It's just not something that I feel like I would say. And he says, oh, no, I think you did. And it was, it was all meant to be positive because it's, it was very inspiring. And I said, well, do you think you could change it? Because I just don't want that to be out on the web. It's embarrassing. What if I've got a job interview or something like that? And he said, oh, no problem. I'll change it. Don't worry about it. And he was, very, very gracious about it. So a couple days later, I call up the blog on my computer, and it says, I had lunch with Joel Marshall, wonderful guy, farther along in the industry than I am. He's always been inspiring to me. When we were in high school, he used to stand nude in the middle of the locker room and say, I like to poop. I like to poop. So that was not good. I didn't know what to do after that. That was just... Let's see what the chat room has to say about that. Let's see. No raw pumpkins, pumpkin pies, however. There was a movie about that. What's the obsession with Gordy? There must be something about Gordy here earlier on. Paige DePoe. Welcome. Never seen Paige here before. If it's a Halloween pumpkin, Jackophilia. Hello. Hello, Paige. Great to see you here. Gordy just puts him on his head and runs into things. Your punchline should be, okay, here we go. Your punchline should be, and we talked about 3 estimates, not for the car. Turns out she was a prostitute. That's a good one. I like that ending. Paige, great to see you. Come here anytime. It's your refuge. Let's see what Lauren says. Busing John Malkovich. Lauren's a comedian. Crash course in driving and dating. It's good to see you, Lauren. Wait. He wasn't in our fraternity, was he? He seemed to be a common occurrence. Oh, the guy. Yeah. Oh no. Head exploding. Pumpkin chucking. Pumpkin chucking. Inspiring. Do men really need more inspiration to... All right, I got to move on. We got to move on to the pumpkins. Oh, Peanut Butter and Honey. Yeah, we love her. She's a friend of Trish. Trish is a wonderful, wonderful musician. Trish King. Sounds like he fixed... Oh. Well, is that to inspire bowel movement? Sounds like he fixed it. All right. Moving on. We are now going to go to the watch party. This has been the comedy stylings of Joel Marshall. It feels good. Anyway, applause is always fun. I imagine you all like, yeah. Moving on. This is my marijuana intro. You know, because this is a very chill show, so there's a lot of people that enjoy the marijuana on this, I'm sure. It's time now. We're going to relax with the capybara because this is a show about animals. This is a animal week, and we're going to get into some pumpkins, animals. Here we go. Let's watch this. This is relaxing with the capybara. Yeah. This is from Benjamin Mee, his YouTube channel. This is just to get us ready, because I'm now obsessed with capybaras, I believe. They are giant rodents. Of course, we have no problems with the rodents on the show. I'm wondering, are bats rodents? Maybe somebody can Google that. Maybe Greg could tell us. There they all are lounging. That's from the Dartmoor Zoo. There's a lot of great zoo videos out here. Here's another one. Scratching the capybara, one after another. Nagasaki Biopark. This is, I mean, if I had one, I'd be scratching them all the time. Nice. Capybaras are so yesterday. That's the great thing about this show, is that everything old is new again. Because the new stuff, we do have some really new stuff on here. But, there's a lot of stuff that I missed when I was in the, cryo-freezing chamber. Oh my gosh, they're so squishy. Their noses are great. Yeah, I think that people do probably eat capybaras. I was looking, and there was a relative to the capybara out there, and I don't know what it was called, but people were eating them. Bats are Chiroptera, not Rodentia. Interesting. What else is in the Chiroptera family, I wonder? Is that a family? I know. That weird noise is sort of ASMR, sort of like purring. That's what she said. Sometimes that really works. It works well. Some people use it liberally, and I think it should be. Look at their feet. Does that kid have all his fingers? It's a good question. It's not necessary if you're, well, I guess you could lose a few, right? You hear that clicking? Yeah, there's like a clicking sound. So this is the capybara. I'm a little capybara crazy today. Because somebody was talking about them in a spa. The capybaras in a spa. And so I found some video from this place, which I can't read what it is. Saitama Children's Zoo. You got the capybara in the pool with lemons Mammals with wings. That's the Chiroptera. It's like purring. I think it's got to be good for you, right? Hey, while we're doing this, if you haven't subscribed yet, right down here, there is a hummingbird. If you hover over it, subscribe. Please do. We're trying to reach 500 by the end of the week. Yes, so I looked up a group of capybaras is officially called a herd, but they're trying to get it changed to a meditation of capybaras. And apparently, if you use the word a lot, it will get picked up. So we're now just going to say this is a meditation of capybaras. Okay, I got one more capybara.
Okay.
And it's finally we're getting to the title of the show, which is Do Animals Love Pumpkins? Do animals like pumpkins? Do animals eat pumpkins? I don't know what the title of the show is. I can't be responsible. Capybara eats a jack-o'-lantern. So this is very Halloween-y. This is, again, Nagasaki Biopark. You know, if all the hummingbirds could go to Nagasaki Biopark and just subscribe there, we need to, like, start doing that where we just flock over to something like the chickens, the steppe chickens do. We just flock over there. Everybody subscribes to them. They're like, whoa, what was that? There was like a whole flurry of subscriptions. We got Lunch Therapied. New song. Capybara sits in the old gum tree. My wife sings that song, but it's kookaburra. Kookaburra. Okay, 2 classifications. Megachiroptera, old world fruit bats, and Microchiroptera, echolating bats. Interesting. Fruit bats, they don't echolate, maybe. Who put the tennis balls in the hot tub? Is that what they were? I thought they were lemons. Anyway, here they are, just chowing down that. I got to move forward because there's more to be seen here. This is a giant elephant squashing pumpkins. Talk about smashing pumpkins. You see? It all comes around. It all comes around. You think, you know, I plant the seed. It's not really a callback, but it's a unifying kind of theme. Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in the cage. So echolating. I think maybe I should do some echolating, right? Echolating. Maybe I could do that too. Hello. Look at the echolating. Lemons would be used if it was a capybara stew. Oh no. I don't even like pumpkin soup. Certainly not going to eat any capybaras. That was fun, echoey stuff. See, you know, let's see, I just subscribed to the Nagasaki Biopark on YouTube. Please do, because they're awesome. Let's just, you know, what do they call it? DDoS attack. Not really a DDoS attack, but a hummingbird. What's a group of hummingbirds called? I don't know. This is the Oregon Zoo, by the way, with the elephants. Elephant eating a watermelon. This is also, this is Skandavale. But today we're all converging on the Nagasaki Biopark. I'll just put it here. Nagasaki Biopark. Yeah. Let's see what Matt says here. We had 2 cats that went nuts when we brought a pumpkin into the house. Climbed on top, yowled while I tried to get in it. Isn't that weird? The cat we have now wouldn't even notice. All cats are different, right? All cats are different. This is crazy. Should we wait until he bites it like a big old, I don't know, not an everlasting gobstopper, but what is it that you bite into? Like a grape. A grape, I think is what I'm trying to say. A charm. I'd have to go back to find out what that even means, but you probably know. A charm of hummingbirds. So our charm of hummingbirds, as it gets bigger, can have some power out there on the internet to give subscriptions to people and also, you know, attention to things. Okay. There's too many capybaras in this one. It's just, I'll just, you know. Just a little bit of this. Why don't they cut the damn thing for the poor elephant? It's a good question. Maybe he likes it when when he finally bites into it. It's kind of like a burst of fruit flavor, like a starburst. It's a burst of fruit flavor. He probably even says it. Like the elephant all of a sudden says, "Wow, that's a burst of fruit flavor." All right, let's just see. I must have one more thing I want to show you, and then we got to go. Oh, okay. So Critter Vision is a place where I invite you to go when you're really feeling like bummed out. You can go here and just watch animals come and eat. And this is live. We're looking at it live right now. This is what's happening. There's no animals there. But they also have other videos that you can watch. And this is it. Black vultures quickly come and go at Critter Vision. And I'm just going to show you this part here where they show up. And I don't know what a bunch of vultures is called, but we'll probably figure that one out. A smack of jellyfish. Is it true? Some of these things are really fun. It's a murder of crows. That's the one everyone knows. A smack of jellyfish. A conspiracy of lemurs. That's my favorite one. I love that one. It sounds so Shakespearean, doesn't it? But I don't know. Look at all these vultures. And just like sharks, vultures clean up. They clean everything up. But I don't see any other animals hanging around. Well, I see some geese in the back there. Some brave geese. That's probably a goose that hung out with Ginny Sykes and is now like, I'm not afraid of vultures after that lady who put soap all over me. All right, moving on. It's towards the end of the show now. We're going to do the dance break. The very controversial dance break is coming your way. A kettle, committee, or wake of vultures. What, they have like a bunch of them? I would think vultures would have a lot of them. I don't know what you call these. These are like descriptive group names, herds. I'm going to see what Greg says. Greg, your shirt is on the way, by the way. Your lunch therapy shirt. It's navy blue. It's the exact right size. A group of vultures in a tree is called a committee. Vultures on the ground is awake. These are good. Lauren, Gallagher is probably not busy. Yeah, let's get Gallagher on the show. Gallagher, for those of you that might not know, made an entire career out of smashing fruit on stage. Google it if you don't know about it, but it's pretty awesome. On the ground, they're called a wake. Eek. Yeah, it's true, I guess. Let's see what Mark Strignell has to say. Vultures clean up? I need to replace my wife with one. Your wife doesn't clean up. Don't tell my wife about it either. Oh, I like that watermelon emoji. And then Camel is laughing. Okay, so this thing behind me and this sound is supposed to bring you unexpected wealth. So I like to try and, this show is all about what can we give out to make people's lives better. So this is apparently unexpected wealth. There you go. So now we're moving into it. So I hope this is going to be a very controversial dance party. But stick with it. Try to just get a different frame of mind. This is a great performer performing a great song. I think people are going to have pretty visceral reactions to this. This is Andy Hackbarth. We had him on earlier doing Ghostbusters, his rendition of Ghostbusters. Look, I'm not talking. I did a lot of talking today, so I could probably shut up during this part. So that's what I'm going to try and do, starting now.
She was a fast machine, she kept the motor clean. Was the best damn woman that I ever seen. Had a sightless eyes,
I knew
telling me no
would have a
knocking me
Angry
out
reaction
with
to
those
this.
American thighs, taking more than a share. Had me fighting for air. She told me to come, but I was already there. 'Cause the walls were shaking. The earth
At least it's
was
not
quaking, my mind
that
was
Butterfly
aching.
song,
We
Smashing
were
Pumpkins,
making it in you.
which I have to go back and look at what it's called.
All night long.
Thanks everybody for being here. Bullet with the butterfly wings. We'll have to have that on at some point.
Took me all night long.
AC/DC was about all we had in the 80s.
Working double time on the seduction line. She's one of a kind, and man, she's
This reminds me of
mine
that
all
other
mine.
Boys in the Hood
Wanted no
song where they
applause,
do a rendition of that.
just another course. Made a meal out of me and coming back for more. Had to cool me
This is
down,
controversial
take
that I'm a
another
jellyfish.
round. Now I'm
Are
back
you
in
a-
the ring to take another
I can't remember what a bunch of jellyfish is called. I thought we were gonna see some puking. Well, Ganel, you might be doing some puking. Boy, everybody. Remember to get your friends to subscribe. We're trying to hit 500 by the end of the week. Tomorrow, Seth Word is going to be on the show. So that's going to be fun. If you don't know who Seth Word is, Google him. He is a very strange individual. Love to see you tomorrow on Lunch Therapy.